pretty damn hurricaney and windy out today. Actually, there's wind coming through here, so there might even be wind noise. Should make for a pretty interesting morning commute. It'd be nothing short of a miracle if I don't get caught in the rain on this commute. Windy than I would expect being over the water on the bridge. Hard to say how this clip will turn out. Whether you can hear me or you can just hear wind. Somehow I beat the rain. Now, if you follow me on social media, Instagram to be exact, you now know that this bike is earning a set of these. So this is a set of SRAM Omnium track cranks, a proper set of track cranks that I'm hoping will fit in here. But this bike is really, really weird, and I have this odd feeling that a 48 tooth proper 42 millimeter chainline crank in here, it's gonna hit. And I have this feeling that these being as beefy and big as they are, I'm gonna run into like crank contact or chainring contact with that chainstay. But there's only one way to find out, and it's to actually go ahead and do the work. See if it fits. Remaining very hopeful that this new crankset fits. Of course, when I noticed that my camera, this one that I'm shooting on right now, is getting really low on battery, and I decide to plug it in and not shoot what I'm working on, of course the non-drive side stays seized onto the bottom bracket spindle and strips all of the tooling threads out of it. So I had to break out the grinder and cut the spindle so that I could actually pull the old bottom bracket out and leave me literally in a place where I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to ride this bike home. Because I can't put this crankset back on, and if that one doesn't work... I don't know if anything's ever just come easy for me. You know that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? I think that's probably a pretty good definition of my entire life and everything I try to do. Fingers crossed. GXP bottom bracket, bit of an upgrade, external bearings. If you're not sure what this plastic piece does, the reason this exists is actually as a water seal. So that water can't actually get to your bearing surfaces. If you live in a really dry area, apparently you can get away with not using these. When I opened this up, there was a ton of water in my bottom bracket because there's no drain hole. Now would probably be a good time to drill one, but I'm not going to do that. And that's basically the idea, is it keeps all the water that's going to get in here away from your bearings to extend the life of them. Pretty simple. If you don't have one, you might run your bearings out faster than you really want. Now taking bets on whether or not this works, because I'm screwed if it doesn't. think that's overexposed. I don't know. So here you have it. The new crankset actually went on not too bad, although I need to clear the fact that yes, there was some issues with the chainstay, it being so beefy. It did hit under really hard load, riding up and down the front of the store, to the front of the store and to the back. When I really hammered down onto it, I could feel the drive side click, click, and hit. So what I did do to make it work, and this might upset some of you, is I took the grinder to it to open them up a little bit. You'll see that they have a you know, a radius to them now. It's not super pretty, but, and before you say, I can't believe you did that to a set of Omniums, these cranks were already modified before I put them on. And Frank, who had them before, he's a messenger in town, he had actually filed off a ton of material here to try and get a better, I can't remember what it was that he was trying to do. He had taken off material there, but I'm not super worried about it, and it does look significantly better. I'm really happy with my decision to go with these. And as you know, I couldn't not do that because I destroyed the other stuff getting it off. So this had to be done. Don't feel too bad about the little modification because they had already been modified before. And I mean, you can't deny that it doesn't look great. It sort of validates the bike just that little bit more. It was never my intention for this thing to ever look nice. It was always just supposed to be a placeholder of stuff like this. Like, I really like those bars. The stem is whatever. I like the seat post. I like the saddle. The wheels are not bad. I knew that there was going to be a point where it was like, I'm either going to do cranks or I'm going to do a new frame set. And the cranks came up. I want a different frame set. I just don't know what it is yet. Okay, that little project might have actually taken over a lot more of this vlog than I actually really meant for it to. But I wanted to kind of go over something to address or answer or even just open a discussion about my thoughts of the new 2018 Specialized Diverge. It's no secret that I am a huge fan of that adventure bike in Specialized's lineup. I've made I think 2, maybe 3 videos about the Diverge. I've praised it. I've always talked about how much I love it. I love the way it looks, especially the DSW models. That aluminum frame actually mimics the carbon ones, so of course I really like the carbon versions of it as well. And I was asked, what is my opinion of the newest 2018 redesign? Now, I want to start off by saying that I'm in no way, shape, or form paid by Specialized to talk about their product at all. But I will say that the new Diverge design, I like it a lot. I like the direction that they've kind of gone in to try and make the bike a little less adventure or even just road bikey and bring it a little bit more to that gravel side. And if you remember my video from last week, what is a gravel bike? My definition of a gravel bike is a bike that has at least 35mm tires, and it looks like on the new Diverges, the aluminum ones anyway, they've given it clearance, safe clearance, up to 38s, which in my books means you could probably easily fit a 40, maybe even a 42, and it still be well within the bounds. One thing I don't like that they did is that the carbon version of the bike, for some reason, has safe clearance up to 42s. I have a big problem with them not making the bikes equivalent each way through. And, you know, that's just me. Probably to most people, that's less of a big deal, but I'm probably not going to buy a carbon version of this bike, and I prefer have as much tire in a bike as I can possibly get into it. And it irks me a little bit that they went with 38 for the aluminum bikes and the carbon bikes get 42mm. What can you do? I will say that Specialized has really kind of doubled down on this whole dropped seat stay thing to try and make the seat post a more comfortable area. I don't love the future shock design, and I'm looking at my computer right now. I'm looking at the Diverge E5 because that's probably the bike I would buy. They say in the marketing spiel under the bike that it comes with the future shock, but I'm not actually seeing the future shock on the bike, so there's a bit of a discrepancy there. If the E5 didn't come with the future shock, I would actually be slightly happier with that. I rode the Roubaix with the future shock, and it works, don't get me wrong, but I still don't want one. They've also got something mentioned here. They've gone away from traditional cross geometry. In the past, when I've looked at this bike, I always found that it was pretty similar to their endurance road geometry with space for up to 35 mil tires. Now they've got this open road geometry, and when I actually look at it, I do notice that they have gone out of their way to create something fairly new. And for once, they're not lying when they say it's got a low bottom bracket, because it does. The head tube angle doesn't seem like it's changed a significant amount. They have made these like slight tweaks to it. It probably won't affect the handling too much. But the bottom bracket drop is now at 85 millimeters. That's deep. That is a low bottom bracket. That's traditional touring bike territory. This thing is probably going to be a handling machine. And the fact that they now have it with clearance up to 38s, I don't really have anything bad to really say about this bike. I'm excited. I hope I get to see one. It looks like Specialized has sort of doubled down on really sporty gravel bikes, and I think that's only a good thing. My opinion of the new Diverge, it looks awesome. I'm pretty excited about it. The only thing I wish it didn't have was that future shock. I wish they didn't put that there, but I like what they've done with the tire clearance. That's me saying all of this without actually being able to see one and speculating, purely looking at this, Specialized website, looking at the geometry charts a little bit. So thankfully this morning I did end up beating the rain, but I'm not going to be beating it on the way home. And it's not a fun way to end the day. I have a feeling that a lot of this is going to be slightly underexposed. I noticed while I was editing a video today that the focus does definitely drift every time I move my hands, which is a problem because I use my hands a lot. I don't really know how to fix that. I tend to let these problems linger until I actually decide to do something about it. So probably 4 years from now, I'll actually read up on how to make sure that it focuses, well, just in general, to learn how to use the autofocus, and maybe so that it would only focus on my face, or that I could choose what it focuses on. Currently, I don't know how to do that, and I don't really want to put the effort in to learn. This is 100% the reason that I commute with a dry bag. It doesn't have any compartments. It's terrible for bringing my laptop, charger, and everything else I need. But for times like this, it keeps everything dry and makes sure that I get to use it. Kind of warm, so it's not so hateful. Of course the rain stopped basically as I get not even halfway. It's like there's just no rain now. What? Only I could pick the times that it's gonna pour. Go outside in it. Much better than the other ones. It's raining a lot.